Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that is really easy to talk about but really hard to do, and that is to stop defending yourself to the narcissist. Stop defending yourself against things that did not happen. It's hard to do because it's a natural reaction. When someone accuses you of something you didn't do or didn't say or don't feel, as a rational person, you want to correct that. You want to say, hey, that's not me. I'm not like that. I didn't do that. If it's something particularly nasty, and with narcissists it usually is, you are offended and hurt that someone would think that's the kind of person you are. So you become defensive or even angry. This feels very unfair, and to be perfectly honest, it is unfair. So you want to right that injustice. Obviously, it must be a misunderstanding on their part because your behavior clearly shows the opposite. You want to line up proof of that and show it to them. You want to correct their perception of you and their apparent misunderstanding of your actions and your character. This is all normal, reasonable, totally understandable, and completely logical. The problem is that you are dealing with someone who is not normal, reasonable, understandable, and logical. If they were, they'd never have, quote, misunderstood you so badly in the first place. Because of that, even though your response is totally natural and totally justified, it's exactly the wrong thing to do. Why is it the wrong thing to do? Because it's a total waste of time. They are not listening to you. Your denials just make them more and more sure that they're right. After all, if you weren't evil and abusive, you wouldn't be denying it. You would admit that you have these hurtful, terrible feelings or these vicious motivations, and you would apologize. Because you keep denying it, it's obvious that you are dastardly indeed. If you heard the episode of my show entitled Stop Explaining to the Narcissist, then you know that the truth is they're not misunderstanding you at all. They know you didn't say or do the things they're accusing you of. They're accusing you because either A, they're trying to take the heat off of themselves for something by switching the focus to you, and or B, because these things can occur together and they often do, they believe that while you might not have actually said or done those things, your motive is bad. Your feelings for them are bad. Remember, everything with them is about feelings. That therefore makes everything you do and say bad regardless of whether it actually is or not. The narcissist may accuse you of calling them names when you didn't call them names, of insulting them when you did not insult them, of using derogatory phrases or mannerisms or rudeness that you did not use. I mean, the list is really endless. When you really press them on why they are saying those things, it always comes down to the same thing. They know you actually didn't, but they're sure that you want to, or you would if you could. They are assigning motivations and feelings to you and your actions that do not exist anywhere except inside their own head. As I discussed at length in the video, Stop Explaining to the Narcissist, this happens because those are actually their feelings about themselves. They are unable to endure these feelings, and so they project them onto other people. If these feelings, insults, and criticisms are coming from inside themselves, they have no defense against that. It very quickly gets to the point where they can't stand it, they can't take it. If they can't take the pressure off, they often even will become suicidal or engage in self-harming behavior. However, if these feelings, insults, and criticisms are coming from you, that's a different story, isn't it? They can defend against that, and they will. Instead of being angry and hateful at themselves, they're now angry and hateful at you. You are the problem. It's your behavior and emotions that are wrong and hurtful and evil. I don't think I'm garbage. You think I'm garbage. It's a form of affect displacement. Affect has to do with emotions. It's an immature scapegoating technique the narcissist uses to protect their mind against the unbearable feelings that overwhelm them all the time. Those feelings have absolutely nothing to do with you. They have to do with how the narcissist feels about themselves, and they existed since before you ever even knew this person. They will often say you're the cause of those feelings, and they don't realize that the only reason they think you're doing all these horrible things is because they're looking at you through the perception of these negative emotions. In other words, they're saying the behavior caused the emotions, when in reality, it's the emotions they already had that causes their interpretation of your behavior into something negative when in fact it isn't. That's the main reason it's a waste of time to defend yourself against their accusations. It is very, very important to the narcissist that these things be true. In fact, in a way you could say their lives depend on it. That's why the more you deny it, the more sure they are that they're right. You gotta remember, they believe feelings are facts. This is not a metaphor and it's not hyperbole. They believe their feelings are actual data that can be relied upon and used as factual proof. And they do use them as factual proof. You hate me because I feel that you do. You're jealous of me because I feel that you are. That's all the proof they have, and make no mistake, to them, it is proof. It's more proof to them than any factual reality you could ever show them. You could show them a video of something, and if they feel the opposite of that, it's not going to matter. Because they see everything through this lens of their own distorted and negative emotional perception, everything you say and do is given this connotation, and they do believe that. For instance, the narcissist who thinks you're jealous of them will see envy and jealousy in all of your actions, no matter how innocuous or innocent these actions are. A coworker that smiles at them in passing is imagined to be seething with bitterness and hatred because they're so jealous of the narcissist. The narcissist may interpret the smile as a smirk or read ludicrous meaning into how fast the coworker walks by. The truth is that the narcissist is the one that's jealous. They're jealous of that coworker. This is where the delusion comes from. It's all projection. I don't feel this way, you do. Any feelings that are threatening to them are projected onto the other people in an attempt to lighten the stress and the load that the narcissist is carrying. In a very real way, they need other people for this because their internal landscape, their inner dialogue, is so toxic and abusive that they simply cannot carry that burden themselves. They are not equipped to deal with it. They have immature displacement, childish denial, and play pretend games where they imagine that there's somebody else. That's it. That's all they got. They did not mature enough emotionally to be able to deal with all these negative, destructive feelings, and they don't know what to do about them except to try to run away from them, and that's what they do. I hate me, which is perceived by the narcissist as an indefensible, unbearably painful, toxic, and frightening thing, becomes you hate me, which is perceived by the narcissist as an unfair and painful but manageable thing, which they then nullify even further by telling themselves that you hate them for no reason because you're simply abusive, unfair, and evil, and certainly not because of anything that they've done or to do with them. If these emotions had to be recognized as coming from inside themselves, they couldn't spin it that way, so they project. I'm jealous of you, which is perceived by the narcissist as an indefensible, obvious sign of failure and weakness, becomes you're jealous of me, which is perceived by the narcissist as a sign of strength and success. It's them all the time trying to translate these horrible feelings into something that they can handle. That's why it so often happens when they've done something wrong. Most people would not dream of attacking someone else because they themselves did something wrong, but narcissists are wired differently. The self-hatred that rises up inside them during these moments is so overwhelming, they can't do anything but try to escape it, and they only know one way to do that. As you can see, narcissists are very invested on a deep personal level into these seemingly crazy and off-the-wall accusations they make or the beliefs that they hold. These things are an integral part of the defense mechanism, and they are not going away. Narcissism as a phenomenon is nothing but a network of defense mechanisms. In its base form, it is no more and no less. It's a malfunctioning primitive defense mechanism that the brain grew into instead of out of, which causes them to take any criticism, real or imagined, and amplify it, overreact to it, and run from it. If this seems pathetic or childish to you, it probably should. It's literally the adult version of, I know you are, but what am I? This is what you're dealing with. This is why it's a waste of time to defend yourself against these accusations. It's too important that the narcissist be able to believe these things. If they can't believe that you are the bad guy, then they're going to have to believe they are the bad guy, and they can't take that. You might say, and other non-narcissistic people might say, why does there have to be a bad guy at all? And the answer is, because that's just the way it is. I could go into why it's like that, and I have explained that in detail in other videos, but to be perfectly honest, that's just as true of an answer. That's how it is. It's how they're wired. Somebody has to be the bad guy. It's either going to be you or it's going to be them. And since when it's them that can lead to suicide, it's going to be you. That's why they argue so hard and seem to believe these delusional things so absolutely. Their life is depending on it. Their supposed cleverness at spinning things is really just desperation. However far they have to reach and twist and turn things so it's not their fault, that's what they'll do. So now that you know all that, what do you need to do? Stop defending yourself. Do not try to defend yourself, excuse yourself, reason, or rationalize with this behavior. It won't work. You have to do what you do with a child that's having a temper tantrum. You have to ignore it. It's not easy, but it gets easier once you get the hang of it. The narcissist's goal is to get the focus off of themselves at any cost. To that end, they'll try to get your goat and provoke you and upset you and do whatever they can do so that you become emotional and lose sight of the conversation. Sidetracking the conversation like this makes them feel less vulnerable, and again, it makes you the focus of all their bad feelings. And your own, really. It also puts you on the defensive, which means they're in the driver's seat and they can steer the conversation away from all the things they find threatening and they don't want to talk about. So don't let them do that. The best thing you can do with these crazy accusations is just ignore them completely. Again, stop defending yourself against things that did not happen. Stop trying to prove that you're a good person worthy of respect and decency to a person who literally, quite literally, does not know what these things are. If you respond to the accusations, you are giving the accusations power. You are validating the accusations simply by responding at all, thereby ensuring that they're going to be brought up again and again and again because the narcissist can see it clearly got to you. All you're doing is giving the narcissist more ammunition with which to attack you with every explanation, defense, and denial, so just stop doing it. It's only words. That's all it is, it's only words. If the narcissist chooses to believe that you're some terrible person doing terrible things, that's their problem. It's not true, so who cares what a person thinks that can't see the truth when it's staring them right in the face? God knows that 9 times out of 10, when the switch flips and they're the nice personality again, they'll be singing a different tune anyway. This is all based on irrational emotions that have nothing to do with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to just let it go. There is no way that exists that you can use to defend yourself to the narcissist so that they will believe you. Have you ever been able to? No, right? That's because they don't want to believe you. It's not about you yourself. It's about them themselves. In order to believe you, they'd have to sacrifice themselves, and they're not going to do that. They can't. All you are is a scapegoat. You're a container for the feelings that they cannot carry. You as an actual person don't matter. They don't care how it affects you, how you feel, or who you really are. That's hard for a lot of people to take because they feel like if they just got to know me and who I really am. No, it really truly does not matter to them at all. You can continue to defend yourself if you want to, but why waste your time doing something when the results are absolutely no different than if you'd never done it in the first place? If you ran 10 miles a day for a year, but you saw no health benefits at all and you didn't even lose 1 pound, would you keep running 10 miles a day anyway? Of course not. Why waste all that time and expend all that energy for nothing? That's what you're doing with the narcissist, running 10 miles a day for nothing. Except this situation is worse. Because in this situation, you're running 10 miles a day and the narcissist is the one getting skinny. They're the ones getting the benefit. Stop killing yourself so that someone else can live happy. It's not your responsibility. Their feelings are their problem and their responsibility. You don't have to defend yourself, and it's pointless anyway. Simply don't react to the accusations at all. The correct response is no response. For example, let's say you need to talk to the narcissist about who's going to pick up the kids from t-ball or ballet or something like that. The conversation might go something like this. You say, "Are you going to pick up the kids or should I?" The narcissist says, "Maybe you should do it. After all, we all know what an embarrassment you think I am." Now, this would ordinarily be followed by denials and defensive statements on your part, such as, "I never said that, I don't feel that way," and things like that. Those would then be countered by the narcissist, insisting you really do feel this way, followed by more crazy misperceptions and half-baked emotions that are supposed to be, quote, proof of these things, and here comes another 4-hour argument over nothing. Instead of defending yourself or exploding with rage, try this. You say, "Are you going to pick up the kids or should I?" The narcissist says, "Maybe you should do it. After all, we all know what an embarrassment you think I am." Then you say, I really need to know if you're going to be able to do it because I have an appointment at 6 o'clock. The response, of course, may vary to whatever's going on in your life, but the point is that there was absolutely no acknowledgement of the crazy emotional accusation. It may be repeated or it may not. If it is, continue to ignore it. Be polite, be pleasant, and ignore every attempt to put you on the defensive. Now, some of you might say that the narcissist in your life will respond badly to this type of non-reaction. Well, they all do. It takes away one of their biggest weapons, and worse, it forces them to hold on to those terrifying feelings. It does not let them put them on you and force you to carry them. If they can't create a situation where they are, quote, defending themselves from your, quote, abuse, they have to face these feelings for what they actually are. Their bad reaction is not a reason for you to keep feeding into this cycle. They're going to react abusively and maliciously no matter what you do regardless. If you fear for your safety, leave or call the police. But stop defending yourself against things you didn't do, words you didn't say, and feelings you don't have. It's a losing battle that you will never win, and every time you do it, you sell another piece of yourself out to a person who does not care enough about you to even listen. If the narcissist chooses to have these feelings and opinions about you despite reality proving otherwise, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you and have a wonderful day.